first of all, I wanted to share with you something that I've been studying a little bit. And my teacher was talking about how samsara evolves and how it starts out with the ignorance that isn't just an obscuration that doesn't know reality, but actually actively apprehends the exact opposite of how things exist. And so that ignorance is sometimes called elaboration or proliferation, because we put something on top of objects that it doesn't have, that they don't have. And in this case, what ignorance is putting on top or proliferating on them or fabricating on them is having an autonomous nature of existing from their own side independently without relating to anything else. And based on this ignorance, then we get what is called conceptualizations. And the word conceptualizations has different meanings in different contexts, as many words do. And here it refers to a mental factor that I translate as inappropriate attention. In other words, it's a mental factor that conceptualizes or pays attention to things in an inappropriate way. And what this mental factor does is on the basis of seeing things as existing objectively out there, then it projects more beauty on them than they really have, or more repulsiveness than they really have. Okay, and then based on this inappropriate attention, that puts more goodness or more badness, more attractiveness or more unattractiveness on things. Then we develop attachment to things that we see as super attractive, and we develop anger and hatred towards things that we see as really yucky. Okay? So this process is going on in us all day long, kind of seeing things as truly existent, and then this mind of conceptualization kind of looking at something, and it's like, oh, look at what's on the lunch table. That salad, so beautiful green. It's really good. I really like it. Oh, look at that other stuff that's in those pots. Beans. Ugh. Can't stand that. And so this mind that, elaborates or projects goodness and badness aside from what is actually there. Okay? And then you get attached, and then you get angry, okay? And usually when we have attachment and anger, we think that we're perceiving things in the right way. And we'll get very stuck in our attachment. I've got to have this. You don't understand. I've got to have it. And something that we don't like, I can't stand it. I've got to get rid of it. It's as if our life depended on either getting this or getting away from that. Sometimes we get so strong about this, and we get so wound up, in it. And then we get anxious about, well, what happens if I can't get what I want? What happens if I can't be free of this situation? Oh, then this and that, and the other thing's going to happen. And, and we're like, way gone there, okay? If we come back a little bit to this one, it's hard for us to actually see how we see things as inherently existent. Yeah, that one we have to really work at seeing, so it's good to work on that. At the same time, it's easier to see how we project goodness and badness that aren't really there. How we project attractiveness and necessity, or repulsiveness and disgustingness that aren't really there at the object. And not only how we project that on the object, but then how we do our one-pointed meditation on that. Yeah. Oh, this person, so incredibly wonderful. So this, so that, this. Gone for an hour, daydreaming. This wonderful person, and then we do this, and then we hear that, and then, and this is all inappropriate attention, just daydreaming, some extravaganza, okay? On the other side, we'll look at something that, appears, that we look at and project unattractiveness more than it's really there. And then it's like, this bed, I can't stand it. It's too soft. This is terrible, and my back and this and everything hurts, and we go on and on again, an hour about how bad the bed is and how much we're going to suffer because of sleeping on it. Because for sure our back is going to be ruined. We're never going to be able to walk. We'll never get rid of it. If we don't get a different bed absolutely today, then, by tomorrow morning we are crippled for life. And, and we just ruminate on these things. And so there you can see how the attachment then becomes really obsession, We just, this have to, I must thing, and we're obsessed with getting something. And then how, due to this inappropriate attention, ruminating on what we don't like, it becomes this incredible fear, anxiety, anger, and we become incredibly irritable and just want to lash out at everyone and everything. Yeah. And this is all coming from our mind. Yeah. And so our big mistake is we think it's coming from the object, but this whole process is coming from our mind. And then how we not only, the ignorance is coming from our mind, the inappropriate attention is coming from our mind, the attachment and anger are arising within our mind, okay? And then how we elaborate even on those things, and sometimes we'll criticize ourselves. I have so much attachment, I have so much anger, I've been practicing Buddhism for so long, and still these things are there. And if everybody knew what a lousy practitioner I was, they wouldn't want to talk to me, and what am I doing here anyway? I don't qualify to be here. I should just go down to the bar and join my, kind of swallow all my misery, or, let's go smoke something, or, let's get out of here. I'm totally unqualified to be here. And do you see how, again, we don't have even just the original ignorance, inappropriate attention, and then mental affliction. But then we do more inappropriate attention based on the affliction we had, and then we get more wound up and anxious and fearful, and then of course we create karma, don't we? And then it's the karma that pushes us into a rebirth of a certain type, and that determines what we experience in that rebirth. Of course, when we experience the result of our rebirth, again, we don't say, this is all coming due to my karma, which came from my afflictions. We say, it's out there. This person doesn't like me. And I'm so wound up and nervous because they don't like me and they won't talk to me and they're ignoring me, and every time they talk to me, they just scream at me anyway, and I can't stand it. And there's no awareness that, this whole process of inappropriate attention. But why am I in this situation before? Because I created some negative karma. Yeah, why? This is all a creation of my own negative karma. Why am I so upset and reactive to this other person when I'm in this situation purely because of my own actions? And if I keep having this same mental reaction, then I'm going to keep creating more causes for what I'm already going through that I can't stand. Yeah? So we'll get into the self-judgment thing. We'll get into the fear and anxiety about the future and what's going to happen if this, that happens. And, and we waste our whole lives in this. Our whole life goes by. Yeah? And here we have a precious human life where, if we actually directed our mind towards the kindness of others, where we could actually develop some feeling of being the recipient of kindness and develop some love and compassion for others, that we have that ability, and it isn't that hard to do if we just direct our mind to the proper object. But we're so busy directing our minds to improper objects that our own, ridiculous conceptualization, proliferation mind has invented, that we have no time to actually develop our good qualities. And then that's called wasting our life. So we really have to, to be able to identify when an affliction is present in our mind, and then stop at that point and say, my mind is overwhelmed by afflictions right now. Yeah. And it isn't that, therefore, I shouldn't talk to anybody because otherwise I'm just going to dump it all out on them. So then I get so nervous because I'm holding it inside and I'm so flustered. Oh, God, I'm exhausted giving this Dharma talk. No, but you can see, it's exhausting. And, but to notice, okay, just there's affliction in my mind. And then do two things. One is, why am I in this situation? It's due to my own karma that I created under the influence of my own self-centered thought, my own greedy mind, my own angry mind. There's nobody else to blame. I just accept that. Here's the situation. It's not going to last forever. Even if I wanted it to, it won't. And there's an antidote to it, okay, which is to apply one of the Dharma methods that we've been learning. So you do that. And you also go back and say, there's affliction in my mind. You start with that same thing. There's affliction in my mind. What is the exaggeration process that my mind has gone through to get me to this point? Yeah? Where I'm so attached to this that I've got to have it, or hate this so much that I've got to get rid of it. What is the exaggeration process going on in my mind? Yeah. And at first, our mind might resist looking at the exaggeration process because we are so convinced that we are not exaggerating, that this person actually has those attractive qualities, or this person or this situation actually has those negative qualities, to the extent that we're seeing them. Yeah. So there might be some resistance in our mind, but we have to, this is the only way we're going to break through this, is by really, having a little discussion with my mind. Really? Is that person really that wonderful? Is that person really that bad? Because we're seeing them as, 99% wonderful or 99% awful. Is anybody 99% anything? No. Yes. But this is where we have to stop and say, I'm not seeing the totality of this situation. I'm putting all sorts of stuff on it that aren't there, because if it was really that bad, everybody in this retreat would see it in exactly the same way. Or everybody would see that person in the exactly same way as I am. It's totally wonderful, totally awful. Or this situation is totally wonderful or totally unendurable. But if you ask, is everybody else as wigged out about something as you are? No. They're all too busy thinking about their own things that they're wigged out at, due to their exaggeration that you don't even notice or care beans about. Oh, speaking of beans. Oh, goodness. Oh, my stomach hurts just saying the word beans. That's how we get into it, doesn't it? I don't even see a bee. Okay. So okay? And I really don't know what we're having for lunch today, but I hope they make beans, because it's actually, people like beans and they need the protein and it's good for them to make beans. Yeah, so you should make beans. Just because I suffer tremendously doesn't mean that, the cook shouldn't make beans. It's fine, make beans. Yeah, people need the protein.